Hey everyone, welcome back to the Movie Bunker. Today we're looking at The Reaping. It's going back to 2007, brought to us by Stephen Hopkins. What we have here is the story of Catherine. She was a missionary, now she's an atheist, having lost her faith when her husband and child were murdered in the Sudan. And now she goes around investigating religious occurrences, trying to disprove them because she no longer has that faith and she needs to debunk whatever she can. Catherine is played rather well by Hilary Swank. I like Hilary Swank as an actress. I think she actually does a really good job with what she's given in this movie. This film, for most of the film, it avoids the jump scares and that type of stuff, and it's building up. It's like biblical plagues happening in the city of Haven, Louisiana. I mean, you got rivers turning to blood, you have frogs falling from the sky, that type of stuff. Locusts. One person I know complained because the plagues aren't in the right order. Whatever, that's not enough to throw me off the movie. The movie actually starts out pretty strong, and it builds up a good mood and atmosphere, but it starts to sputter as the film goes on, because then it starts throwing in those little jumpscares and it becomes more of a kind of cliched horror film. In some ways, it's hard to tell if they were trying to do an homage to like The Omen and Rosemary's Babies and stuff like that, or if they were just ripping it off because they couldn't come up with an original idea. It's hard to tell what they were kind of going for. It's a lot of Wrath of God stuff, which you don't see in a lot of movies like this, because generally God is either completely absent or just powerless to do anything to stop any evil. And this is that whole Wrath of God stuff is going on throughout the movie. So it's a little different in that respect. I liked it overall. I think it could have been better. The ending could have been better, and it could have finished stronger, or at least finished, as well as it started. Scale of 1 to 10, it's kind of like reading the Old Testament. If you've ever read it, and if you haven't, even if you're not a believer, it's still some good reading stuff. I mean, there's a lot of filler. You got like Numbers and stuff like that, where it's just some of the original books, the earlier books, which is simply, and Belugalash begat Bushmurfalash, and he lived 198,000 years, and then he begat Mushbalabash Bash Budamash, and he lived for 219. There's a lot of that stuff in there, but there's also a lot of the that Wrath of God stuff, that turning people into pillars of salt and fire and brimstone from the sky, and people going to war and all that stuff. There's a lot of that going on. So there's interesting stuff in there, but there's also parts where you're just like, really, we're just reading about who had who and who was whose father. It's fascinating as reading a census report. And this movie's kind of like that, where you've got some good ups, but you've got some really bad downs too. So if you like the whole Wrath of God type stuff, and a little different horror than the traditional, slasher or monster or whatever, this is, if you like stuff like The Omen and Rosemary's Babies, you might enjoy this. You might not, because you might say, well, that wasn't as good as Rosemary's Baby. Fine, it's not. But I still enjoyed it for the most part. It could have been better, but it could have been a lot worse. So I got for this one. Until next time, why don't you all stay safe out there in the wasteland.